So somebody asked the circumstance behind the exact reason they used to remove you.
In my first, year and a half, I took on a lot of stuff. I torpedoed. Hey,
Mm.
I'll take the prospects and go to the run. If nobody else wants to go, cool, it's fine. And going to a south run in Arizona, long story short, we went from, I left Stockton to Yavapai. I don't know if Yavapai is an actual city or a county, or I think it's a city out there. But you know, through all the heat and stuff, and then just coming into the run site, as I was brought up as a prospect, that if you come upon another charter, there's militariist type how you merge into a pack,
Right.
which being told this by, from the men that were raising me as a prospect and what I seen on the road were two different things. And again, hindsight's 2020. I should have gone more with what you see on the road, but coming into a run site, what would be cooler than to merge in with a couple other charters? That's California's coming in strong into Arizona, just looking at it. And so the way it rolls is you come up on a pack, it's members, prospects, hangarounds. That's the order of, and so if you're coming up on a charter, you're not going to pass the charter. You can hang back, but then you're behind all of their chase vehicles, all of the people they brought with them, their guests. So the other option is to merge in to the pack, and the way that works is all the members. So like say I had 5 members with me, and I was leading the pack. It would be me, and then my 4 other members would go to the last member in that pack, fall in line. Their prospects would back up, let us in, and then all my prospects would fall behind the prospects already in the pack, and so on and so forth, right? And so that's what I did. And when you get into a big enough pack to where there's a good 40 members and prospects out in it, if you haven't been in it, it's very hard to explain what happens. But the best way to explain it for people to visualize it is it becomes an accordion.
Yeah.
Like the people in the front are dictating the speed and oh, we're coming up on something. Was that the road? Like this is why accidents happen in traffic. When they tap the brake, 27 members down the road, they're locking it up, sliding. So we were having this situation happening. Been on the road through the Arizona heat. We're almost there. We're like a mile and a half out. Everybody's tired. This accordion thing's happening. It's just getting frustrating. It's like, God, can we just be there? I'm just like, I can't wait to lay in the bed at night, take a shower.
Yeah.
Just, you become the Marlboro man. I had a street glide, so you become the Marlboro man getting off your bike after that many miles. Is just like, walking like you're a you. I'm just thinking like, oh man, it'd be nice. I can't wait to shower. And then all of a sudden, my bike starts bucking, right? So I know bucking is considered like with bulls and stuff, but if you've been on a bike that is bucking, it's a very uneasy. It's the most uneasy feeling because what's happening is your rear tire is going faster than your front tire,
Mm-hmm.
causing it to do this. Like it's bucking, and if you don't get it under control, which is really hard to quote unquote get under control, but it's basically you low side it. You bring it to where you
Right.
bring it down to control it, but you're still going down. You low side because everybody knows the odds of surviving a high side accident is not in your favor. I went through all the steps. It's slow speed, like okay, and then I felt this is where I'm getting tossed. Got tossed. I need to tuck it in. Everybody knows you got to roll this out because being loosey goosey in the your extremities doesn't work out. If you're hitting asphalt, cement, brick, whatever you hit, it's best to keep it in tight. And when I hit the ground, I was in tight and started rolling and was like, oh, this, I felt every time my windscreen would hit the ground, like this, this, it hurts, but we might be, I'm not going to die, I think.
Yeah.
And then gravity kicked in to where I'm slowing down. And I don't care how strong you are. When you're rolling and the grab, like you were moving and all of a sudden you start slowing, it's like the strongest on the planet just grabs your arms and legs and goes, not this time, and throws your arms out.
Yeah.
And that last turn, I mean, I heard my leg cutting the wind. I heard my leg slap, high five the asphalt, I
Mm.
heard my bone snap. I audibly heard it. I didn't hear it through my body. I audibly heard that snap. There was two, you know, like your voice that you hear and then your voice on a recording. I
Yeah.
heard my leg break through my ear and through my bones. So from where I got in the back, I have the nerve bundle it hit. I have no feeling from my left knee down and no movement on my left ankle. And I snapped my left tibia. So I felt it because of the pressure and the sound, but I didn't feel it
Yeah.
as in the aching pain, right? Broke my leg, was the only member with my prospects there. End up having to be driven, back by a prospect at a rent a truck, throw the bike up on there. And then the rest of prospects had to represent the charter at a mandatory event or a run, and then navigate themselves back home with basically a lead prospect taking the rest of them there. I dropped the ball. I had a responsibility for them prospects and represent the charter, and didn't do what I said I would do. So after that all unfolded, it's a tight knit community. It's like a small city, so word gets around. People, start talking and what happened, and come to find out. So when I got in line, like I said, I was the one member, and then my prospects. So when I happened to merge into the pack, they had even membership. So it was the last two members were the last two. It wasn't, because you can be in a scenario where a member and then a prospect.
Yeah.
So when I fell in line, that's what it created was I went in front of a prospect, so prospect fell back, and then I had a prospect next to me. Well, the prospect that was next to me also went down. To this day, I don't think anybody that was there or that had seen what happened knows what happened. That's not. There is a member that was a prospect at the time that has stated that he will tell anybody that wants to hear it that he's seen what happened and will tell you what happened. But the narrative or the assumption or the quote unquote decided that what happened was because we didn't ride there together. We weren't on the same energy type,
Right.
tiredness or whatever. And so I caused the prospect to go down was
Right.
was
And
the narrative of that eventually came about.
now you're
And
a nomad, right? You're a nomad with your nomad prospects, but the prospect that was next to you that went down was not a nomad prospect. He,
no, because when you go on a run and it's a long run, not that anybody likes anybody more than the next one, but when, like, say you're coming down 99 freeway in California, we always rode with Merced County as nomads coming from Modesto, Stockton area. It just so it lines up to where that's our first stop. We can pick them up, we get, and then we start together. And so the pack that I had merged into already had three charters together that rode together down there.
mm-hmm.
But we did, I didn't start with them, and that's what the mistake in my decision was by OGs. That's the accountability I have to take. I didn't think responsibly of we didn't start together anywhere.
And
I
then you,
merged into them on
right,
the road and didn't take into account the exhaustion or whatever, because you get into a flow when you're dancing. When you have a dance partner, after a certain amount of time, you guys just are together. Same thing in a pack. I mean, because the way that the Hell's Angels ride is you're on their back tire,
yeah,
and it's inches between each other. Well, when you're riding together, it's one big machine.
right, like a hive of bees almost, the way they all move together.
Exactly. And then
Hmm.
my weird ass bee just came merging in on the road, after 95% of the getting in the same groove was already done. So, I mean, that was the narrative. That wasn't what had happened, but it's not illogical to think that wasn't something that could be possible, right?
Right,
So it was basically looked at like I caused the accident.
right. And the Fresno prospect went down and also broke his leg.
Yes.
Right.
And I guess the reason why it was looked at like I caused the accident is because no one in front of me wrecked. He wrecked next to me, and I think there was like one or two behind us, but it wasn't to the severity of our two, right? We both broke our legs. The difference between us is, like I said, I didn't feel my leg from the kneecap down.
Yeah.
So I was on a cane just because my old lady at the time, we weren't in a good place. And I had a broken leg, couldn't walk, but she wasn't trying to help me. I mean, my kids would come home from school and would be like, Dad, did you eat? She was literally like, you joined the club, you did this to yourself. Don't expect any kind of help from me. Why would I want to stay in a cast for any amount of time that's limit? Like, I can't even get in the shower because the two showers in my house that I had were positioned the wrong way to where I could, like, my left leg was inside the shower.
Mm.
So I'm trying to bag this and not get trench foot. Just all of this comes with having a cast. And so I cut off my cast and went onto a cane. I don't feel it. Am I picking myself over? I've already dropped my bike plenty of times because I don't feel the weight, and a bagger, you can't stop it from, falling over. So I've laid it, I've softly, fighting to keep it up. I've done it plenty of times. No shame in my game. I know
Yeah.
my leg. I'd rather be on a cane than in a cast. My life was better on a cane. Well, to everybody else, he's not even able to, get out of bed. I'm on a cane. I
Mm.
must have not been as hurt as he was. And I'm not asking for sympathy. I just didn't foresee this. What was, I didn't see was what was the alternative. uh,
Ulterior.
well, not even alternative, but the way when you don't like something or don't like somebody, it's real easy to see what they're doing wrong.
Yeah.
Even though if you do like them, it's a positive situation. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And so I didn't foresee like, I had no clue that I mean, I knew there was like dudes that I just rubbed wrong just because of, nobody ever wants to be around somebody who's always happy about doing this all the time. Like,
Mm-hmm.
curb your enthusiasm, mother. Like, we're supposed to not be happy right now. Stop being happy that you're a Hell's Angel. Like, we're in the right now. And
Yeah.
it's just like, I've been in combat, 15-minute firefights, pinned down. Like, it can always be worse. I'm just happy to be alive, head above water. Like, that's just my mentality. My son's a cancer survivor. I'm just happy that he's alive. Is
Right.
my mentality. I took into everything, but I can see how annoying it can get. Like, it's like that young pup, old dog mentality. Stop it, young pup.
Yeah.
We'll get to it tomorrow. Well, call me,
Yeah.
naive, call me whatever. I didn't see the train that was coming, right? And so going to events after that, there was like a little bit of hostility. Like, it wasn't all love like it always was between the membership of the charter that the prospect was from and myself. And it was just, and I get my head in my head a lot. I was like, this is just me. This has got to be me. Like,
Right.
this is me in my own mind, like in my own. Stop it, dude, because you're making a mountain out of a mole hill.
That other charger was Fresno, and Fresno is notorious like San Diego. They just like to fight, right? They like war.
I mean, yeah, it just they're a down ass charter. I mean,
Right.
just the Fresno area is a tough area in general to come up.
Right.
But I don't know if you see. I mean, if you spend any time looking at the West Coast charters, there's a common, like the tabs or rockers and stuff. It's called
Mm.
99 Crew,
Yes.
which is literally all the charters on Highway 99. You have to run the gauntlet coming into Bakersfield on 99.
Mm-hmm.
If mothers want to make it up to Sacramento that aren't on our team, hey, in Bakersfield we just seen letting Fresno know, letting Merced County know, letting the Nomads know, like letting Sacramento, like, you can't make it up or down 99. We own that, and so we were 99 Crew, and it's just like, like, everybody in the military has gone to war, but like the ones you had deployed with, you just got a little bit tighter camaraderie. And Fresno and the Nomads are 99 Crew. Actually, to even tighten it more, so the job of, like I said on the last one, job of the Nomads is to be a charter without a home, but also
Mm-hmm.
create charters in areas that didn't have a charter before. And at some point, the Nomads basically birthed the Fresno charter. I don't know if I'm saying that right, because they came from another club. Like, I guess sponsored them would be the best way to say it. Like, brought them
Right.
about, and so there's a lot of history there between the club, charters. So I'm just like, you're doing this, like, there's not, like, stop it.
Right.
It just, stop, just stop getting in your own head. But then the health of the prospect that went down with that at the same time, um, I guess was, not doing good. And he ended up passing away from a blood clot like a year and some change later. And unbeknownst to me, the opinion on the accident is I caused him to wreck. So subsequently, I caused the blood clot that killed him. I can't say that they politicked me because I'm not going to say something that I don't know for
Right.
sure.
Right.
But the situation that, and again, like I said, it's just, I feel like, I mean, members that know more or that are still in and can say more than I can say because my knowledge stops the day I was no longer in the club. And but like that's why I have the opinion of it's just a long line of misunderstandings that happen because let me lay it out from what my firsthand experience with it is.
Mm-hmm.
So just it's becoming more and more apparent that there's animosity there, right?
Right.
And so to get ahead of it, because we are 99 crew, the two charters decide to have dinner together, sit down together, try to come to a understanding of what actually did happen because all of this scuttlebutt about what happened or what everybody's saying, like let's just figure this out together, nip it in the bud and get move on from it. So we go down to their house and have a great meeting with them, shoot the shit, have dinner. They made some amazing pasta. I don't know. I wanted to say that it was ordered, but I think one of the prospects that's a member now just
I'm sure they
killed,
made the prospect
killed,
make it for
killed it
sure.
on the grill, So, um, I mean, it was just,
He probably had to hand make that pasta for you.
well, it was fire. And so, it finally get to the point where we talk about it. And obviously, I was the last member in line, so none of the membership seen what happened because they would have been all in front of me. All of their at the time prospects, no one at that meeting, at that sit down, at that let's figure this out together, stood up and said, "This is what I saw. This is what happened from my firsthand experience." Mind you, I wasn't really sure what like. I mean, I understand that we're going there to kind of just work out the
Right.
animosity, but as for the what's going to happen or what we're going to try to iron out, I was still unaware that I was being looked at as the one that caused this accident. So I'm not prepared. Like I would have questioned my prospects and been like, "Hey, did you guys see anything?" Like I'm still blind to the you caused this opinion.
Yeah.
So I again, I guess naively went into this with the we're going to try to figure out what happened. It would be nice to figure out what happened because I don't know what happened. The only thing I have information of is the Yavapai members that helped because that's who was throwing on or having the run. They came out with their trucks and their trailers and stuff and picked up my bike. And when I had spoke to them, because my bike stayed down there for like another week and a half after I came home, Bobby, the president there, who I was really close with, had said, "Man, who? I mean, because I was like, how bad is it? How much am I gonna, I living on a disabled veteran income. Like, how much am I gonna be hurt on this?" And he goes, "It's actually not too bad. A little, just a little bit of paint touch up, but God, your rear fender is beat to shit. Who ran into you?" And that was the first time in the month since it happened that there was any kind of understanding of what possibly could have happened to me. All
Right.
I knew is all of a sudden it started bucking, and then I got launched.
Yeah.
And my understanding was my prospects were way behind the other prospects. I'm not going to question the other charters prospects on what happened because I don't know. I mean, when we go to runs, I'm not going to go talk to prospects and,
Yeah.
assuming my prospects didn't see anything, it was just going to be the unknown for me. And then it was like, oh, that makes sense. If my rear fender is pushed into my tire, I'm being pushed forward. That would cause a bucking situation. Everybody can understand that. I'm not upset. Like I said, it was the accordion effect. It's a possibility that the prospect behind me hit me.
Right.
Hey, it happens, bro. It is what it is. It's called an accident for a reason. I'm not under the assumption he maliciously wanted to launch me off my bike. I didn't die. Recovered relatively quick. I can move the on. Didn't even know who the prospect was that was behind me. Once I did figure that out, come to find out, he was already kicked out of the club. So there's no
And no recourse.
There's no recourse there, and it is what I mean, fate took its did its thing. So, whatever. Chalk it up to an accident. Never expected that I was the problem. We leave that get together with the assumption that if nobody said this is what happened, nobody knows what happened. That would lead me to believe, or I don't even want to say assume, because this is more than an assume. It would lead me to believe that no one's thinking I caused the issue. If no
Right.
one's going to stand up and tell me to my face as a man that you caused the issue or you caused the accident, no one's going to. This is the time. I mean, this is the time that this is why we had the meeting. There
Yeah.
shouldn't be any talk behind closed doors that I caused it. I would assume.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the prospect that went down, the blood clot ended up killing him, and they had a funeral for him. And it's up to the charter if they, depending on the prospect that you were, if you held your charter loved you and you were going to be a member, they have the opportunity to bury you a member by their own choice.
Yeah.
No, they don't have to ask anybody. They can do it. The time of the year, the time of the week. I mean, there's just a lot of things. There wasn't a great. Every single funeral for a member is supposed to have one person from every charter. Obviously, other countries have a hard time getting in, and if you can't make it, you send a donation. It's just this is what you do for your brothers, right? Being a California in the middle of the state charter, having a funeral for a member because he was buried a member. The attendance was to say it was piss poor is an understatement. Like that's putting it lightly, right? There's no excuse or no anything as to why that happened. I can tell you that I never met him, didn't know who he was. That's not saying much because you can go 8 months as a prospect and then finally meet. I mean, your job isn't to meet. Your job is to get your vote from your charter, not meet other charters.
Right.
It's not a social club for you at that point. You go to events, you go to parties, you earn your keep, you work, you get you take out trash, you clean, you take make food, whatever. It's not to fraternize. So had I never got put on a watch or prospected with him, I would have never met him until he made member, right? I don't know his experience with or who he knew or anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can't say that people didn't show up because that even then, if no one knew him but knew he was buried a member, that's just the respect you give the patch as well as the man.
Right.
But still, it was the middle of the week. I don't know why there was a horrible turnout for his funeral. My whole charter went, except me and two prospects. At that time, so I was no longer in the Nomads. I had did what a Nomad does, and we were starting a Modesto charter. We started a Modesto charter that I was the vice president of. The president of the charter was, and I guess not was, but is the man that brought me around the club. Put his hand up and said, "I vouch for this man to not be a snitch or a cop or a rat or anything," and brought me around the club. And he had got picked up on a case and spent a lot of time away. And he's a Modesto boy, and when he was gumming out, he's like, "Man, we got to get a Modesto charter going. I want you to come with me. Learn the ropes to start a Stockton charter eventually down the road." I was basically going to be with the person who brought me around the club and brought me up as a prospect. I was like, yeah, I could help him build his area, and even though it doesn't become like equal, I can try to give back the opportunity he gave me by bringing me around the club, right? Because he was in and out of the pen. It's understanding that when you come around the club, you are only given three things by the club. Other than that, everything's taken from you. And the three things that are given to you is your first patch, your 10-year belt buckle, and if you make it that long, a funeral. Other than that, don't expect it from the club. Expect to give. Well, my president, the member that brought me around, was like at 17 years in, never got his 10-year buckle just because he was locked up at the time. And finances are tough as a young charter because basically to pay for everything, every member and prospect are coming out of pocket. There's no treasury that we're pulling from to pay for events, the meat for event, the rent for the clubhouse. Everything's out of pocket. So on top of funding my house and family, we're funding this. But it mattered enough. The membership that came to start the Modesto charter were all younger members, for the most part, dudes that I either prospect with or I brought to the club around the club and vouched for, and they ended up making member. I would consider them all my dudes. When it came to like votes, not that they would like go with me or, because if they had an issue with something, they're men, they would stand on their own too and say they have an issue. But on some things that just doesn't matter to them, you go with the person that, like, if it doesn't matter to you, if I want to paint the walls blood red, you're just gonna be like, yeah, hey, Angelo, handle it, dude. I don't give. I don't
Yeah.
have another color I want. I'm not gonna buck, just because I can fight you with this. I'm not going to handle it, bro. Thanks for bringing it up. Let's move on. It's not so much that you're following somebody else. It's just it didn't matter to you to do this. So you said, yeah, whatever he wants, we'll give it to him. I wanted to make sure that the president got his 10-year buckle. All the members, the membership of the new charter approved it, which means it's going to be coming out of our pockets. But hey, dude's got 17 years in the club. Least thing we could do is give him his 10-year buckle that's 7 years overdue. And through Doc and all the time I spent with him, I knew the jeweler through Doc. And so get it all set up. Just so happens, I mean, and he's aware of it because he had to vote on us spending money on his buckle. Even though it's weird to say, like, it's his buckle, so you would want to surprise him, but because it's one man, one vote, and every man has a right to know and vote, you can't do surprises. You have to have his vote on his. So he
Right.
knew it was coming. And 17 years in, I mean, he's 7 years overdue for his belt buckle. So, I can understand the excitement. The second thing of the three things that you're guaranteed to get. And so when I got the call from the jeweler that it was ready for pickup, just needed the last like $200 on it, just like a 16th of what was owed on it. I had to get the money out of from the treasurer, brought it up to the charter. At our meeting, it was brought up about the funeral, and he's like, "Hey, 5 members will take the prospects," because we had a gang of prospects, and at this time, I mean, we were going to be like 17, 18 deep after all of them made member. We were thick, we were deep. He's like, take 2 prospects with you, go get my buckle. We'll meet back at the clubhouse after the funeral. I'll take the rest. So the whole charter went to the funeral. I went up, because it's down to Fresno and then it's up towards, Humboldt County, Redding area to get the buckle. Again, when I was a nomad, we had to sit down. Never was assuming that, it's an unfortunate event that the man passed away from a blood clot from the accident. If it was even from the accident, you can't. I mean, a year
Right.
later, I mean, we can say that, but I'm not a doctor. I'm not gonna make an assumption, even though this is on me. But just in general, I'm not. I don't tell people. I don't talk from my ass. I don't want to tell people that gets them up because I didn't have the the intestinal fortitude to say I don't know. So
Right.
I'm able to say I don't know. I've ate a bunch of humble pie, so I can't tell you that that blood clot a year and some change after the accident was caused by the accident. I don't know how blood clots work. That was definitely the cause of his death, I mean, even so much more. Like I found out he was a Marine after a Marine veteran. Like
Mhm.
I was just like, man. Even just for that respect, I would have liked to make the funeral, but I understand why my P was excited for his buckle.
Yeah.
Well, when we get back to the clubhouse and everything, we talk, and he's like, "Hey, so and so from the charter, wants to speak to you. Shot him a holler when you get a chance." And that was it. Very, very nonchalantly, the role I was undertaking, becoming the West Coast secretary, and the technology and encryption and all this stuff was foreign to a lot of the older members, and I had a lot of phone time explaining how to log into how to set up,
Yeah.
just even two-step
Oh,
authorization,
yeah.
setting
Yeah.
that up was like foreign to a lot of brothers, and so it was not uncommon to hear this. Hey, so and so needs to holler at you. I knew what
Yeah.
it was about. It's either about the encryption, it's about the two-step. It's I'm locked. I fucked up my password. I don't know what my fucking password is. I don't like this. Shit. Can't we just go back to heard it 30, 40, 50 times over and over all week? And this was the first rollout that we're fully going to this cloud base. We're not doing old school because too many brothers are getting jammed up with all of our information and having it getting lost to evidence. Let's be smart. Let's not keep handing them, the playbook. That was on Thursday that our church was. Saturday's the officer meeting. 2 days. I can explain in person because he's in a position to where he would be the one handling that. I'm assuming that's what he wants to get at me out about. It's not something that's easily explained over the phone. I'll see you in 2.5 days. It's easier shown.
Yeah.
and able to sit there with you if you have any complications. And then instead of trying to have you be like, when people go to the mechanic, be like, well, it does, I can't diagnose off of that. I can't diagnose of you telling, well, this thing he's doing the spinning thing. Let me see it. I can help.
Yeah.
It's easier that way.
Yeah.
Well, and then to give a little guy context to it, he was fighting his own health issues when the sit down happened, so he wasn't present to it. So if word never was mentioned to him that it was squashed, it never got there, I guess. That Saturday at the officer meeting, it's the first time this is rolling out. It's intimidating. This is my first time on my own presenting a now West Coast, officer meeting for as the secretary on my own this time. So everything's on me. I don't have who I'm shadowing to play, fire control for me. And so I'm on my last nerve, hoping I got it all right, right? And right before it's time to start the meeting, he comes up to me, hey, can I holler at you outside? Should have known better. Everybody knows, hey, can we talk outside? What that means between men. And I take full responsibility of not being prepared for what was eventually coming about. I was trying to get ready for this meeting. It's literally like 6 or 4 minutes before start time. All the I've already answered 20 something questions about this encryption that we're going into. Everybody's coming in. This is when it gets loud. Everybody's talking. How's it going? How's your area? I wasn't assuming, hey, we need to talk outside. It's to answer the questions that I was told nonchalantly. He wanted to speak to me. I'm assuming that this is the questions that is going to come about. Never assuming that it was going to be a confrontation. I let my guard down. I wasn't on my to be prepared for that. Just was everywhere else but there. We get outside. He's like, where the were you for the funeral? You're the reason why he's dead. Punches me in my mouth. I should have been ready. Can I say it was a sucker punch? I should. I mean, I'm about taking accountability. I should have been ready. I've heard from a lot of members that they felt it was a sucker punch. Now, mind you, part of the secretary's job is preparing the rule book. And please believe, as a shadow, I didn't get the benefit of not having to help with that. I mean, at that time, I could tell you every single rule verbatim because I just helped put the book together.
Mm-hmm.
And a sucker punch is a kick out offense between brothers. Also, between brothers, that's a kick out offense is using a weapon against a brother. A fight between brothers is to be a heads up, one on one, no hitting on the ground. Kick a brother while he's down, hit him while on the ground, you're on the carpet, you get thrown out. That's up. We fight fair between each other. Rat packings for everybody but us. And like I said, I'm not going to split hairs about if I was sucker punched or not. It is what it is. And one thing that is very clear is you don't use weapons against brothers. This includes rings. Very, very understood that these fights are between brothers are supposed to be fair
and clean,
and a one-on-one situation, which means you take your rings off before you hit a brother. So I get punched. I'm now aware that we have a situation on our hands. I got 8 rings on. I just helped prep this book. I'll be damned if I'm going to get jammed up on a rule that I just have seared into my mind. I jump back, take off my rings, give them to another brother, even to where like I heard another brother say, "Smart decision, Ange." But I heard that, it was like, it was just weird. Like, oh yeah, someone else kind of pointed out smart taking your rings off because they are a weapon against brothers, right? And then at the same time, I don't know, like, I had just got hit, and like Mike Tyson said, everybody has a game plan until they get punched in the mouth. Mm-hmm. I didn't have a game plan, and then was punched in the mouth. So I can't logically tell you why I did this, but other than the fact of my respect for the American flag, and my vest was my desert camo, then taken by a vest making Espinosa Leathers down in SoCal. They took all that and then made me a cut for the club, and then the liner of it. So my first one was the woodland color, the green, the green, and then the American flag on the inside of that one. My second one was the desert camo that I wore, and then because the desert camo was what I wore to war, the American flag says one thing. The "Don't Tread on Me" with the snake flag says very clearly what that is. No one misunderstands what that means if you're American, right?
Yeah.
And so, and I had one that was taken off the first ship I had ever been on that had flown on that ship. It wasn't something that you buy from WeatherTech or on Amazon. It was an actual Navy flag from a Navy ship gifted to me, and I had that as the inside. So I took off my vest because I treated it like the American flag to where it doesn't touch the ground. I'm not, there's always a loser in a fight.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna sit here and say I'm the baddest in the world. I don't know what the scenario, and the dude's bigger than me, so I don't know what the scenario is gonna be. But I don't want to fall on this freshly watered grass and mud in my cut because it's
Yeah.
camouflage. It's not gonna, I don't want to disrespect. I guess my military brain was thinking the American flag. This shit matters. Touch the ground, you have to burn it. I don't want to go through all this. So I gave my vest to the same brother that held my rings, and then we get him up, and it literally comes to the point to where he actually quit in the fight. He called off wanting to fight anymore. Said he had enough, which that's when fights end in the
Yeah.
club. It are if we're in a disagreement, we fight it out like brothers. You had enough. You had enough. I haven't had enough. Get him up. You guys
Yeah.
done? We're done. And so he was like, I'm done. I'm done. I guess he had an issue with his eye. And then they asked me, and I was like, I was still in the mindset of like, what the just happened? Like I wasn't seeing this coming. I was like, I don't know. If he's done, he's the one that brought it to me. This wasn't like we wanted to have this both happen. It was brought to me, and I just did what I was supposed to do.
Yeah.
And then so we go inside, start the meeting. We have there's sometimes it can go a good 3-4 hours that we're in that room. So there's breaks and there's a lunch break. During the break, he comes up to me and he goes, "We're good. I love you. I was just mad that I would have assumed that you would have been there, given that you guys were a part of the same. Like
Yeah.
you guys are tied forever because of this accident that you had together." But that wasn't the way he approached me outside. It was, you caused it. He's dead because of the accident you caused. You should have been there. When you're out and you think back on stuff, I mean, you can go through every scenario, and it's like, thoughts of the whole when Jethro passed away, and little Steve and Steve Tossin's situation is like, would that have been what I would have walked into? I mean, I've already admitted here multiple times I was naive to even thinking or even knowing that I was being looked at as the problem or the cause of it. I would have been a Who from Whoville walking into that, just not knowing that I just walked into the lion's den. Shit like that, like when you're in your mind, just like shit like that. Like was I was being set up for, or that was was going to be the outcome, or like what the this is like it just everything was so weird to me. But so it basically we fought it out, and he came, let it be known that it's over because we fought it out, right?
Right.
It's down in San Bernardino in Purdue. Me and my prospect come back up north. Sunday happens. Sunday night, my P hits me up, which again, I'm still living in Stockton because I was started, we started the Modesto charter, but I was a nomad at the time. The nomads, when you start a charter, it's, if it's not in the area that you live and you want to be a part of that charter, you need to make arrangements to where you now live in their area. And because I was a nomad and doing what nomads do and starting another charter, and the understanding was that eventually Stockton was going to become a charter after Modesto was built up and moved on from. So I was allowed by the nomads to stay in their quote unquote area because Stockton area wasn't a charter, so it was still nomads territory, and be a Modesto member. So basically, I was not living in Modesto's area, but was a Modesto area because I was on loan from the nomads. I wasn't an official Modesto member. I was on loan to them to be a member to fill the spots until their prospects made a member, right? So my P hits me up and is like, "Heard you had an eventful OM." I go, "Yeah, you could say that." And he goes, "Well, you get a chance, come by and let's talk, talk to me. Let me know what happened down there and everything that went on, and let's talk." Well, we have our weekly thing on Thursday. Monday comes about. So on Saturday, the Sonoma, Fresno, and Boston indictments, they all got rolled on, and that's when the first wave of members getting arrested for what, yeah, I think it just got settled, like they just got found
Yeah.
convicted or whatever. So
Yeah.
it's been this long, but that was the day that they all got arrested. Monday morning, the member I got into the altercation with gets picked up by the U.S. Marshals. That's Monday. The club. I mean, we're still, I'm the West Coast secretary. I'm trying to find information about this. If the Central Valley, Stockton and Modesto are next to each other, but we're not that close. It's like a good 45 minutes between us. I don't claim to love Modesto. I don't even like it. I only went there because I was a part of the charter. I never, I mean, unless I broke down, I would never find myself there. Never did growing up in Stockton, find myself in Modesto randomly ever.
Yeah.
So my willingness to go there just on my own accord, I'll go when because I have to go there on Thursday
Right.
because I'm the secretary. He was already aware of what I was going to be presenting. Like there was really no dire information that he needed to be aware of other than the indictments that he was aware of. It
Yeah.
was public knowledge. Everybody got arrested, right? Get there Thursday. I'm pretty hot going there Thursday because one of my boys that I brought around the club, who eventually made member, and then put the trust in me to go with me to start this Modesto charter, who lived in Stockton as well at the time. That's where his want was to be in the eventually a Stockton charter. Trusted that we could do this, right? His daughter was having some health issues that landed him at random times in the ER. For some reason, they're grilling us to make sure that we're at this meeting. Like the prospects are like, you're getting here, right? And they kept blowing him up, and I was like, I'm getting mad now. It's like the motherfucker's in the hospital in the ER with his daughter. Leave him the alone. It'll be okay. Like we will iron out whatever. And I'm getting heated, right? And so when I show up to church, it's like I'm thinking I'm gonna have to be, which you shouldn't be fighting another man's situation, but by proxy, he's in the ER with his kid. Like, can we get some understanding that life happens too, especially to his daughter? Like, come on, she was like 4. As soon as we sit down, and there's a I guess template or a way that our meetings go. It's old news, general news, and then new news. That it just keeps things organized, and eventually it rolls into we have something that needs to be voted on. I'm just like, what? Like, this is like a weird wrench in our normal. And then I'm looked at and it's like, Angelo, I'm bringing you up on your patch for unbecoming of a Hell's Angel and acts of cowardice. Come to find out that the scuffle that you got in, that you weren't willing to fight right away, so you embarrassed the charter by not wanting to fight, and we're a coward for that. And I was like, first I'm like, what the like it. I mean, he even said like, this is up because when you guys did fight, you actually ended up winning the fight. Why were you? It's like it was basically he didn't say scared, but he's like, why were you scared to fight? Basically, is what I'm being asked. And it's like, do I get any say in this? And it was the basic like, nope. And I'm just like, so none of the membership was there to be able to have this opinion on how I represented the charter. You're taking word of mouth from other people that were there, even if they were there, and politicking outside. You're not supposed to politic outside of the room. That's where it's handled.
They're saying this because you took the extra couple of seconds to take your rings and your vest off, hand them to another club brother. Fight.
Basically, 15 seconds to take off my rings, which is a kick out offense if I would have fought with them on, is what ended my Hell's Angel career. I was looked at as a coward for taking too long to fight back after I was punched in the mouth because knowing seared in my mind that this is a kick out offense, I took the steps to not get kicked out and got kicked out. I'm not here to try to politic anything or try to get myself back in the club or get anybody to be persuaded to think a different way of me, because honestly, Rick, this isn't bragging or boasting, but I've never met a person that would have a bad thing to say about me or say that
No.
I'm not a genuine person, that I didn't leave it all on the line. I didn't
Yeah.
leave it all on the field. That when people felt brotherhood from me, they felt the brotherhood. It wasn't a long live the brotherhood type of just motto. I mean, plenty of people were in the comments saying I've met people on the East Coast that say they knew Angelo and that he's a stand up mother,
Yeah.
who are in the club still and should have the opinion that I'm a piece of shit that embarrassed the Modesto Hells Angels and got kicked out for being a coward. I should be looked at as a damn near a pedophile and a rat, is what just one notch above that on the line. And these men still have this opinion about me to this day. And as the story, unfolds, the Modesto Charter no longer exists because my president, the person that was in charge of that charter, decided that his own personal endeavors, slanging that Walter White, was more important, and got the whole charter wrapped up in multiple cases of moving weight crumbled them, and the nomads now have to again take over a metropolitan city in California because the charter that they started there was unable to stand on their own 2 feet and survive. And there isn't one person that it was around at the time that doesn't have the opinion that had I still been there, the fighting chance for that charter to survive, because it was just a bunch of young members that just needed somebody to guide them the right way, that it would still be there to this day.
Yeah.
Um, I can't say that because I don't, like I said, I always underestimate my leadership roles because I am scared to let people down. But I've never had anybody say that, you're a piece of shit. Who the fuck are you? There's been members that have told me literally the point of being a Hell's Angel is to be a man and stand on your own 2 feet and have your own opinion. I think you were done wrong. But in my mind, you're still a Hell's Angel. So this out bad, no contact, I'll risk my patch to talk to you because, in my opinion, you were done wrong.
Well, I told you, one of the Hells Angels, former Hells Angels members that I talked to quite a bit, he told me they never told us why he was put out, but all they will say is that it was fucked up. Nobody is allowed to talk about what happened with you, but everybody knows whatever it is that happened was.
But the underlying fact of it was that I was still looked at like I caused the accident that got this man killed, and there needs to be some recourse for that. And I'm guessing this is the opinion is that it's not okay that I'm still a patch member when, a man who would eventually become a patch member, life was ended because of me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing that's the narrative. I don't know any deeper. That's all I can come to the assumption of. No one says why, but just says that it's up and it wasn't right.
Yep.
That, because of my love for the club above myself, that actually hurts my heart more. Is that that's the opinion of active members, and no one's not even for me, but no one's been man enough to fix, because all of the members that basically kicked me out, other than two of them that were my boys, that one of them wasn't there. One died by mysterious. They said it was suicide or it might be murder. The president was kicked out for stealing from the club. All of them prospects were done wrong.
Mm-hmm.
All the junior members were done wrong. Like, I mean, you can look at the scenario now and it's like, okay, everybody knew Angelo for being this stand-up individual that was trusted as a young member with a prestigious seat on the West Coast. And then we have the unfolding of what happened to the people that were left behind in the Modesto Charter after Angelo was thrown out.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the decision that was made there wasn't what was best for the club, because look what unfolded.
Right.
We should bring him back. We should, look at this and reinstate him or make him whatever, change his status back to in good
Right.
status, and allow him to make the decision to come back around. On top of that,
They make it to where nobody's allowed to talk to you.
yeah, and but
And
it's still everybody's still under the opinion of it was up.
the one guy who had the major issue is now an informant for the FBI.
I've heard that's an opinion that is placed on him. He's still a member, and he's in, locked up federally, I guess, or
Yeah.
however it is. He's still a part of the ongoing case that,
But yeah.
unfortunately, the Sonoma, the Fresno, and the Boston members are fighting for their lives for.
Yeah.
So, and I can only wish them nothing but the best, because regardless of what happened to me, no one should be in a box for the rest of their life over shit that, you know,
Well, almost everybody that's in that indictment had absolutely nothing to do with
yeah, with what
any
happened to
of
me.
this.
I mean, there's so many men that are in that club now. The nomads were done wrong, and so many young members. I mean, I've had members that are nomads now tell me, I transferred from Santa Cruz to here to be around you guys, and you left to Modesto. Like, just a lot of people had shared the love that I gave to the club, and like, the enjoyment, and it just. I even apologized to some members. I told them I apologized that I wasn't able to see the train that was coming for me, the railroading that I got. I should have been aware of this coming, and I just didn't. And I apologize that I let you guys down. And I get it. They had invested time into this man. It may have been somebody who was a family member of some. I don't know the scenario because I didn't know the man, but I get it. People need an outlet to place their blame on why this person wasn't around. I have no animosity towards anybody that came to the decision. It's just the fact that once everything was unfolded and all the cards were laid out, that no one's done what's right. And honest to God, that's been a Achilles heel of the club is, yeah, we know that that was done wrong, but we don't fix our ups. We just move on.
It's been done, and just let it be. And then you have these men who give their entire world to being a part of this, that are just crushed because they walk into a meeting one day and there's a vote on their patch over not fighting fast enough and for taking your rings off before you beat the guy.
For being respectful to a brother. One part of the story that hasn't been told yet that I kind of hinted at earlier is there is a man that is a full patched Nomads House Angel right now who was a prospect at that time that has said on numerous occasions that he will tell whoever wants to hear the story that when the accident happened, that prospect went down on the shoulder before I was even off my bike, and that I did some weird ass Michael Jackson sliding on my helmet type of scenario before my roll, but I was in the middle to the third, three quarters way in the other lane. We went like this.
Yeah,
There was no me into him into the shoulder, and he went down before I did. This is a Hell's Angel. That was a prospect that is the only person of other than the Yavapai member saying my back fender was bent in that says I seen what happened. I will say what happened, and this is what happened. And Angelo didn't cause that accident. It just for some reason happened at the same time for two different, but it was two separate situations that happened because the Earth spins. Who knows why they happened?
and all of this, you have to include the fact that you had risen to West Coast secretary at 30 some odd years old. You
Or two
know,
and a half years in the club at that
yeah,
point.
right. I mean, that's going to chap a lot of asses too, where they're like, hey, what the hell? You know, I've been here 25 years and this dude.
Well, not only that, but then I never had a I'm okay with that path of the way it happens with when it comes to out bad no contact because the way that works is a person's looked at in bad standings from the club. No one can have contact with them other than the people that are in that charter. That's
Yeah,
it, right? I never liked that scenario because it leads it like they say, count the money in front. We'll count it together. You count it again. Make keep honest people honest. Well, if someone's such a piece of shit to where they when they work so hard to get to become a Hell's Angel, that we're gonna now call them a piece of shit, take what they work so hard to get. I want to know why the he was so disrespectful to my club. I want to question him. I want to him up. If he was that big of a piece of shit, let me in on that rat pack because him for us over.
yeah,
But it's more of a we handled it. Don't worry about it. Nothing's going on here is
yeah,
how it comes about. And it tends to allow the current membership of a charter to railroad somebody out that possibly could have brought them up on their patches, but because snakes
right.
and rats all together, if we can just outvote him, get him out, put him out bad no contact, nobody can question why this good ass motherfucker is now a piece of to us because you can't ask why. You can you play that mental game of hey, crazy. Rick got thrown out the club. He seemed like a good ass dude, man. If you don't hit him at the right time of they're partying, you might just get a stone face of yeah, crazy shit happens, seen crazier, or a yeah, man, that that's the only opportunity you have of them divulging what happened. But other than that, you can't just go ask why was he thrown out, and they're not going to come out and say this is why. It leaves a negative narrative to it, and that's just my opinion. When we were putting the rule book together, this is a motorcycle club. There's like 160 something rules, and only one has anything to do with motorcycle riding, and it's just the size of the displacement of the engine is the only rule. Other than that, I was more of an outlaw on my own. I was more of a law-abiding citizen because of how out there we were with our patch and who we are you're just, I mean, you stick out like a sore thumb. We're outlaws that, you know, with so many rules.
There's no rule about dating somebody's mom, though.
Yeah. You want to do a Q&A, or you want to do, we can do a part 3 for a Q&A. I'm down for that.
There you go. Let's do
Because
that. And
you know what? I this was for no reason other than you asked me, and my love for what you
yeah,
do. There's no book to follow. There's no podcast. I won't be hitting the rounds of podcasts. This is, like I told you, this was, I even told you, I don't even know if I want to continue with this because of like, I was so pissed off of the way people were treating my glazed over military. Like,
yeah, yeah,
what am I going to see when it comes to the outlook on my time in the club, you know?
yeah.
But
Well, when people come in and hate,
it's been, I mean, I've seen nothing but love from the people, and I appreciate, and so to give back the love that they've shown, I'm willing to, if it's wanted enough and people have legitimate,
yes,
understand, don't ask me about club business because I'm not,
right,
you
right,
you want to know, become one. Other than that, you know, go yourself. But
right.
I have no
I,
problem asking about, I've seen this about the writing, or just general questions. You have questions, I'm down to answer them,
hell yeah,
because it's American history and people should know about it, instead of, what people are today. Learn some actual American history, and let's be Americans again. Be one
yeah.
team. So
So we'll definitely do that, and this won't be by any means the last time you come on. There's so many things
I could be
to talk
your
about.
what's it called? Your
Eh,
resident professional when it
yeah,
comes to the motorcycle situations.
yes,
Down.
it's
So
always good to have. Always. Have a good one. Thank you, everybody, for coming. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I hope you guys have an amazing day, and I'll see you next time.